everyone. I am so excited that you are here joining us for day one of the Package Your Brilliance Challenge. So every single day this week, we are going to be here at this time, going live in this group, sharing some incredible information and just things that are going to inspire and empower you and just make you see what is possible. And ultimately, we're going to show you how you can take your ideas, your passion, your knowledge, and turn it into a business that you love, a business that creates so much success. And we're going to talk to you about how you can actually take what you love and you know and turn it into offers that people are going to be so excited to buy. We're going to talk all about packages, and it's going to be brilliant and it's going to be so much fun. Who is excited? If you're excited, leave a yes or some kind of like celebration emoji in the comments so I can see. So if we have never met before, I am Carrie Green. I'm the founder of the Female Entrepreneur Association. I am the author of the best-selling book, She Means Business. And since 2011, I have been building the business of my dreams. I've been taking my own ideas and my own passions and turning it into a business that has become incredibly successful. If I'm being honest with you, it literally took me 3 years to go from having the idea of building FEA to actually doing something about it, because I had the worst imposter syndrome. And if you watch any of my videos, you will know I've talked about it so many times. It is crazy how much we hold ourselves back, and this week that is something we're definitely going to talk about a lot. But when I got started in 2011, I was trying to figure out how I could build this incredible community, and ultimately that evolved into a membership site. And so the Female Entrepreneur Association, at the heart of it, has the members club. And so I've absolutely loved building my membership site. A lot of people come to me to I help them build their membership sites, and it's incredible. But when I was having a conversation, and I don't even know when it was probably maybe like the end of July, maybe, with the amazing Gina Davey, we got talking, and I was saying about how there's so many women inside of the Female Entrepreneur Association network who are coaches in service-based businesses, and they really want to create more success. They want to know how they can, increase their prices, how they can charge what they are actually worth, and create just so much more success to have consistent 10K months and beyond that. And I've never taught that inside FEA because I'm not a coach. And so Gina and I were chatting, and this idea came that we should do a collaboration and bring our two incredible networks of women in business from all over the world together to do a free challenge and to create something that will help them to actually create this success and to, build an incredible coaching or service-based business. So this idea was born, and here we are, literally a few short weeks later. I've had a baby in that time. And over, I think around 12,000, if not more, of you have signed up for this challenge. And I'm so excited for all of you that are here, that have showed up for day one or watching the replay. We're going to have so much fun. But more than that, this is going to be such a transformational week. Gina is incredible. It's going to be so moving. So I'm really, really excited to introduce you to and to welcome the incredible Gina Davey. She is the founder of Divine Living. She is the author of the book Audacity to be Queen. She's just amazing. Gina, I'm so excited about this.
Oh, Carrie, I've got the chills and the goosebumps as well. And to think that it was just a minute ago that you and I got together to have that conversation. I think this is so the age of what we're in right now. Women supporting women, being in collaboration, just really rising together. So thank you for everything that you've done to put this collaboration together, to join our groups, to do everything you've done to be you in the world. And to everyone else, hello, I'm Gina Davey, the founder of Divine Living, and it is just such a joy to take you on really what's going to be a trip down memory lane for me. For those of you that haven't met me and don't know me, I was a broke, struggling psychotherapist. I got my master's degree in clinical psychology, which you don't need a master's degree to do your work, but I was just really lit up about human potential and helping people. And so that is what I came into my career to do, was to create transformation, I thought, in other people's lives, not really realizing we teach what we want to learn. And I needed so much transformation in my own life. I was $75,000 in debt. I was 30 years old. I was living at home with my parents in Detroit. I just had a dream, and I had a dream of living a bigger life. And I had a dream of what life would possibly be like being out of debt. And I had a dream of like, what would it be like to be well paid doing what I love to do? And this was back in the late 90s, where it's like, you know, just people that were wealthy. They were like rock stars and movie stars and professional athletes. They weren't really people in the helping, healing professions like us. Well, so much, fortunately, has changed since that time. And really, entrepreneurs are the new celebrities. And I have been so blessed and so gifted. And I'm going to be sharing more of my story along this week here together, but how I went from sliding scale rates and $25 sessions and trying to figure out who my ideal client was, let alone what a package was, let alone to fast forward 20 years later. And no, it's not going to take you that long either. That packaging my brilliance and getting paid to be me has become my expertise. It's become my specialty. I have grown personally so much in my own wealth consciousness and have had the honor and pleasure of helping thousands of women around the world raise their wealth consciousness and their self-esteem so that you can get clarity on who your ideal client is and what would your package be. And, you know, I've gotten way out of the box with it. I have done packages where I've hosted one-day intensives in my home. I've hosted retreats in front of the pyramids in Egypt. I need to explain where Egypt is, or the pyramids are. I've hosted retreats on yachts in Mykonos, in Florence, Italy, London, Marrakesh, Sydney, like all around the world. I've done smaller packages, medium, large, year-long, whatever. $2,000 packages to $125,000 packages and everything in between. And so what I can definitely and 1000% say is that if you are here with a dream of helping others and being financially supported and creating some kind of package that just is an exquisite representation of you, you are in the right spot, and it is 1000% possible for you. So that's what I'm going to be diving into and sharing with you. And what I want you to know here is, well, first of all, I need to like really get your agreement on something, because, you know, any kind of business, whether it's marketing or funnels or what Carrie was talking about with membership sites or what I'll be talking about with packages, there's a certain amount of nuts and bolts that, quite frankly, isn't rocket science. It's not that difficult at all to understand, especially for someone as smart as you. There's all of the underlying and the underpinnings that are pulling us back from our success and that are pulling us back from our greatness. And that it's those looming doubts and that nagging low self-esteem of who am I to do this? And what would I say? And hasn't it all been done before? And I can't charge that much. And so that's what I was really looking to start with uncovering, if that's okay with all of you. So I'm going to look over this way, because let me share with you what I've got, because I'm on Zoom and you're on Facebook. I want to make sure I can see all of your comments. So is it all right with you if we do a deep dive into the mindset and the programming? Because honestly, quite frankly, the nuts and bolts in themselves, you probably could have already figured it out by now. Or if you need that education, that's great. And Carrie and I will get that for you this week. However, that education won't stick, and you won't actually be able to manifest the results until the programming has changed. And so this is what I know has been the major game changer in my life, is getting the programming of the mindset down. The biggest game changer in my business has been creating packages that I love delivering and that people love purchasing for themselves so that they can get the big transformation. However, there was a time when I saw people charging all kinds of money and having these huge packages out there, and I was just kind of like stymied. I was like, what do they do for that amount of money? And where do they find those kinds of clients? Is that what's going on for any of you? So I'm going to jump over into the comments here, because I want to see what's going on for you and make sure that we're all on the same page, that for you to really get the shift, for you to really own your power, the starting place to begin is the deep dive into the mindset and the programming. And I remember, and especially if you're new on the personal development journey, this was the last thing I wanted to hear from anyone. I'm just going to completely out myself. I remember when I first met Glenn, who's my husband and now my CEO, he had made a lot of money in different businesses at the time. And I was so broke and I was so tired of the financial struggle. And I knew that it was robbing me of my real life. And I went to him and I was like, can you just tell me what to do? Like, why are all these wealthy people kind of like mysterious on how you make money? Would someone just tell me what to do? I'll do it. And then I can make a bunch of money too. Anyone can relate to that mentality and that mindset? Well, the reason why wealthy people don't just tell you what to do is because that in and of itself doesn't work. And it's got to come from a very deep, strong, rooted place inside of each of us, so that we are owning and valuing our own worth, that we have our own sense of source and connection to the universe and spirit that's guiding us, so that we can really stand in our power when we're creating our brands, our packages, our pricing, all of that good stuff, All right. So just let me jump in here and see what's going on. People are saying, yes, it's so key. Let's see. Yes, I see high priced packages and think, what on earth do they do for that amount of money? Right, Jess? Amber says, I love a deep dive into the mindset. It's so enlightening. Oh, Amber, I got some good stuff coming your way. OMG, the low self-esteem. Hold on, they're coming in so fast. Now, I love how active this group is already. All right, so hold on. Where did it go? Low self-esteem, and it's all been done before, big time, right? Mindset is such a great place to start. I'm here to up-level my wealth consciousness and get crystal clear on my packages. Yep, who am I to do this? Mindset is everything. Well, ladies, we seem to be in just the perfect place to do this deep dive together. All right, so let me just start by sharing with you how this incredible week is going to be happening, and then I'm going to go deep dive into the content. I want you to know it's going to be super interactive, so I'm going to share the content. I'm going to jump into the Facebook group. We're going to have lots of fun. So every day this week at 9 a.m. Pacific, noon Eastern, and 5 p.m. UK, I want to see you here and I want to see you live. You can watch the replay and that's going to be there, but it is not going to be the same of you committing to this live vortex. There's been so many studies done about like the Maharishi effect that I write about in my book, The Audacity to Be Queen, that being in the live group is going to catapult you forward faster. Real quick story. So I do yoga like biannually, and I would show up every year in my yoga class where I would go and I'd sit in the front row and it was like that. Anyways, one day when I showed up, they moved rooms and I didn't realize it. And I got there early and I was meditating and my eyes were closed. I heard people coming in and then I opened up my eyes and I realized I was in an advanced level 3 yoga teacher training class. And I was like, oh, but the class had started and I was like, I totally wanted to leave, but I couldn't leave because I thought that'd be rude and it would like disrupt all these yogis and they're serious. And I was like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? Anyways, I find myself in a downward dog and I'm freaking out. I'm like, this is, I'm going to get like stuck or like an ankle is going to get lodged behind my ear and I'm not going to be able to get it out. And then I'm in this downward dog. And the part in the yoga class when the yoga teacher says, now walk or jump forward and let your ankles meet your wrists. Well, normally for me, it's a waddle, but it's fine. It's a walk or jump forward. This teacher says, now float forward. And I kid you not, I'm in the midst of all these master level yoga students. And I'll do it this way. And like something like lifted my hips and all of a sudden my ankles, they floated forward. They floated forward and landed next to my wrist. Never before or since has that happened. But I am here to tell you this, that the power of being in the live vortex, literally the quantum field is going to lift you into your greatness. So I want an agreement. Can I see it in the chat that you are going to mark your calendars or diaries, as I think you all say across the pond, 9 a.m. Pacific, noon Eastern, and 5 p.m. UK time. It's only 5 days. It's only 4 days after this. So I want you to really give this time to yourself. This is a really special and sacred place. Carrie and I have put so much love into this, and I want you to really soak it up for you. Your life, your destiny, your finances, your future clients, they deserve this time. So every day I'm going to come in, Carrie and I are going to come in live and deliver this content. And every day I'm going to give you a homework assignment. So at the end of class today, you're going to get your homework assignment and you're here. So I want to make sure that you're super active. There's a reason for the homework assignments. And it's because Carrie and I are going to be giving away prizes. We're going to be giving away scholarships. We're going to be doing all kinds of cool, fun stuff. So the scholarships are going to be for those of you that want to continue past the 5 days with us. We're not going to talk about that right now. I just want to make sure that you're super active, that you're participating, you're here, you're live, you're taking notes, you are doing the homework assignments so that you will be eligible for the prizes and scholarships that we're going to be giving away every single day, because we're fun like that. All right. And you'll get instruction on where to post your homework assignment. It will be right here in the Facebook group. And you'll have until 8 a.m. Pacific, I believe, or maybe a little, I don't know. You'll have to check the emails. Our amazing teams will be sending out emails with all the instructions on where you post and by what time to be eligible for the prizes and scholarships. So that's that. And then basically, your job is to show up and receive. You give so much. You do so much for other people. And I really want to pour into you this week. I want you to be the one to receive, to be lifted up. And as you're about to see, be reminded of what actually is possible for you. All right? So with that, are you ready to dive into the content here for day one? I'm super, super thrilled to do that. And Carrie, I saw you just pop on. Did you want to share something else?
I was just going to say, sorry, my video looks really bizarre, but anyway, I really wanted to just say before we start, and I'm really excited. I'm sat here I just can't wait to get started, and I'm going to be taking notes too. But there's this quote. I've been seeing a lot of Rumi quotes pop up lately. He's following me around on everywhere. But there's this one quote that I really wanted to share with you all, because I feel like it's such a powerful quote for all of us right now with everything that we want to achieve. And he said, as you start to walk on the way appears. And I just think that's so powerful for us now coming together in this group with this incredible energy, because the way is already appearing for us. And maybe, I don't know how long you've obviously been on this journey for, because we're all in different places. But what I do know, especially for myself, is that the most powerful thing we can do is take the inspired action to just keep taking those little steps, and the way it just does begin to appear. And I think the very fact that you are here watching this right now, you've already taken that action. Something's already sparked inside of you to be here. And I just think that in itself is going to be so powerful. And as you continue to walk on this way over this next week and beyond that, it's just going to be incredible how life can transform. And I know for me, that is how I've created the success I have in my life, is just by starting to walk on the way. It is in listening to that inner calling, listening to that inspired voice inside of me and those ideas, and actually deciding I'm going to follow it, I'm going to listen to it. And I think so often we're so afraid to listen to that voice inside of us. If you are yes, this is me, I have been so afraid. I've been hearing this voice and having this idea for so long, and I've just been teetering on the edge of it. If that's you, let me know in the comments. But if it is you, I want you to know that you are on the cusp of greatness. And I know that might sound a bit dramatic, but I've just got chills even thinking about it. But I just have experienced myself what is possible, and it is phenomenal. it is so incredible. And I want that for every single one of us here. And the truth is, every single one of us here can get to that level of success, can create the dream life. We are all meant to live our best lives. And I think even just being sat in this energy of all of us right now is so powerful. And I know the most amazing transformations are going to come from it. And Gina's going to be sharing the most phenomenal things with you. But yeah, let's just all keep walking on our way, the path that lights our heart on fire, and moving in the direction of our desires and our dreams. And I'm excited, and I have baby Marley here, and she's very excited to soak up your lessons again.
Oh, amazing. So beautifully worded, Carrie, so beautifully worded. So I want to start with something practical, because there's going to be a lot of topics that are going to be the mindset ones are a little esoteric, and I want you to be able to ground all throughout the week with an intention. So, and I want you to type your intention into the comments. So I want you to start with something concrete and tangible about what your intention is for being here. And I want it to be enough of a stretch, and I want to teach you a concept: don't overreach and don't underreach. I want it just to be enough of a stretch, enough of something that feels just out of reach, but like you really, 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 really want it. So, for example, your intention might be to get clear on your ideal client and package. Your intention might be to make a certain amount of money. Your intention might be to sell a certain number of packages to certain clients by X date. I'm not saying it has to be by the end of this challenge even, but I want you to come up with a concrete intention that's related to this challenge about why you're here, so that we can really anchor in together. And all of the concepts that I'm going to be teaching here over the next 4 days are going to be relatable for you then, where you can go and grab onto this intention. All right. So I want to start seeing some of those intentions in the chat and make it really concrete. And it might even be like, getting clear on who your ideal client is and what package they would buy. It might be having the confidence to know you are ready to get out there and go start creating and selling packages. It might be to get a first paying client. I want it to be simple. I want it to be doable, and and it's the next level stretch. Okay, so let's get some of those. Let's get some of those here in the chat so I can see what the intention: to complete my materials and gain clarity on my packages. Excellent. Gain clarity on steps moving forward. I've been considering creating a digital course and a membership. Great. My intention is to wrap up my 15K by September 30th. These are beautiful, ladies. To identify what my ideal client and package will be. Perfect. 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 My intention is to learn how to consistently earn 10K months. I love this, Sophie. Yes, yes, yes. Okay, keep them coming in, because after this time here, I'm going to go through and I'll be reading every single one. So it's something that I love to do, and it helps me anchor in so I can really deliver what you came here for. So I want you to now close your eyes for a moment. And it's okay if I get spiritual here with you, right? I want you to close your eyes for a moment. And I want you to just hold this intention. And I want you to allow yourself to send this intention love, to send it belief. I want you to breathe life into it. See it as possible. And now I want you to feel it as already done. What does it feel like when this intention is manifested? I want you to have the vision and the feeling connected. And with whatever your spiritual practice is, I want you to place it in the hands of God, Spirit, Universe, Source. And so it is. Knowing that on the spiritual realm, it is already done. Your desires matter. And when we women start to be led by desires versus just thinking practical thoughts that are from the neck up, we start to come from a much different place of passion and an entirely different place of power. And that's where I'm going to start with the content today. Today is all about you living your epic life. Now, that can feel a little rusty and a little shaky for some of us. It can be super exciting for others of us. But I want to start by all of us understanding that the epic life is meant for every single woman here. It's meant for every single woman on the planet. However, we have not been told that the epic life is meant for us. We haven't been told that all of us can be prosperous, that all of us are important, that all of us are powerful, that all of us have unlimited ability and potential to be, do, and have anything we desire. But I'm going to tell you something. That day is changing. And want to know why? I have talked about this for a long time, but never, ever, ever has it been as important or as pivotal today that everybody gets that it is time for us to stop believing the lie that some people are lucky and some people are more special and some people are more talented and some people are more deserving. Because when you understand that every human was created for an important purpose, that includes you. And every desire that's in your heart, guess what? You didn't come up with those desires in the first place. They came from the divine. And if the divine placed the desires in your heart, of course they are meant to be manifested. The issue is that too many of us have been conditioned for lack. We've been conditioned for failure. We've been conditioned for struggle. And we have been literally programmed to play a small game. But I got to tell you something, ladies, that day is not today. On some level, we all unconsciously signed up to go through this pandemic together. And like throughout history, when there were the dark ages, what came next was the Renaissance. And we have been through a very dark time on this planet's history, a legendary time, a dark time where there have been injustices and inequalities and oppression and an abuse of power and a destruction of Mother Earth. But let me tell you this. After the Dark Ages comes the Renaissance. And the Renaissance literally means to flourish after a dark time. It means a rebirth. And I wrote a lot about in my book that the age of Queen is now. And let me tell you something, you have been prepared for such a time as this, that you literally are what the Dalai Lama has been talking about. The world will be saved by the Western woman. And it's women like us who have been prepared our entire lives for this moment in history. And you want to know why? Because the world is craving feminine leadership. Not the power struggle, not pushing things forward, not grabbing, not this level of inequality, not this scarcity in thought that some people can have and that others can't. Because the way of the feminine is so circular. The way of the feminine is about the we, the masculine is about the I. And so when you understand that your soul's calling signed up to be a leader, to be an adult, and to be a woman at this time on the planet, of course it is about power. Of course it is about the miraculous. Of course it is about you manifesting your most epic life. Because when you understand that when you live the epic life and you get yourself out there in the world in the most Wild, and when I say wild, I don't mean out of control. I mean free. I mean fierce. I mean fabulous. I mean so uniquely you that this is what the world starts being attracted to. And this is how the world starts waking up and starts seeing it actually is safe to be me. It is safe for me to have my ideas. And not only is it safe, it actually is unsafe for me to not express myself. Because women like you and women like Carrie and women like me and women in this entire community, we have been brought together for such a time as this. Now, I know, because you're just like me and you're just like Carrie, that you have been through a lot, that you have been through hurts, that you have been through devastation, that you have very likely been through traumas, you have been through dark times, and you have overcome. You have overcome them all. You have transformed. And I'm not saying that you don't still have hurts and fears and insecurities. I do, and I'm sure I can speak for Carrie, she does as well. But we are the type of women who keep looking at what they are and overcoming, and keep noticing the hurts or the limitations, the fears, and developing new skills and going to the next level, and keep seeing what the obstacles could be, but we also keep seeing what the possibilities are instead. So that intention that you set about knowing who your ideal client is and getting clear on that perfect package, or making those consistent 10K months, I would need you to understand that yes, this is for you, and yes, you deserve it. And it is a drop in the bucket of what it's about. It is not just for you. It's about the double blessing. Because when you think of who you are meant to be in the lives of others, the life-changing, mentoring, transformational work that is going to occur because you took a risk, because you were brave, because you were willing to show up, because you were willing to take the next steps, not the perfect action, but the messy action, or the inspired action, or just moving it forward in some way. That is how every successful person that you look up to right now has gotten to where they are. When you look at the Gagas and the J-Los, okay, so they're my spirit animals, but who are yours? I want to see those in the comments. Like, when you look up to any of the greats throughout the history of time, they, just like you, just like me, just like Carrie, we're all human. And as you're about to find out, we're all ordinary women who were destined to live a legendary life. So what happened and what got in the way, and why are we not living these epic, legendary lives? Because we were programmed for mediocrity. We were programmed to play small, live under the radar, play it safe. We were programmed that it was wrong to want more, that we should just be happy with what we have, that paying our bills and getting by was what life was really about. I'm here to obliterate all that. Good enough isn't good enough, not for women like you, because we are, and I'm going to use the archetypes that I talk about in my book, but you can use whatever you want. I use the archetype of queen, because I believe that in every woman lives a queen. And if you resonate more with wild woman or goddess or whatever other archetype you resonate with, then you go ahead and translate. But I'm going to use the archetype of queen. And queens, they're not broke. Queens aren't insecure. Queens, they're not even unclear, and they don't even do overwhelm. That's right. That's how powerful you are. So what we've got to cultivate inside of you here today is the skill set where you have such a strong foundation. So when the winds of fear or not good enough or shame start to come in, you remember who you are, and you remember the skill sets, and you remember that you are not here to do this all by yourself, and that you remember that you are settling for nothing other than the epic life. Even when you don't know exactly how to get there, and even though you don't know what all of the next steps are, you know that you and settling are over. Any form of mediocrity, any form of playing small, any form of getting by, any form of, okay, well, that's probably as good as it gets, that thinking is over. I want you to raise your standards. I want you to think higher of yourself. I want you to expect more from God, because I can tell you, God's been sitting there looking at a lot of us getting kind of bored himself, don't you think? Like, we're like, I don't know if I'm good enough. God's like, I made you a masterpiece. What do you mean you don't know if you're good enough? It is time for us to shake off that dusty thinking, that a patriarchal mentality put inside of our heads, that we don't know, that we need to get permission from someone else, that someone else knows more or has better advice or better education or better knowledge. I say that it is time that we start giving ourselves that permission, and we start learning from ourselves and stop being so afraid of making mistakes. Of course, we're going to make mistakes. I make mistakes probably every hour of the day because I'm trying, because I'm risking, because I'm testing out new things, and because I've given myself permission to be human and not perfect. And I want you to do exactly the same thing for you. And so the first step in you really getting so strong in living your best life, making your money, having your package, being so clear and confident in all of that, is being committed to the epic life. Right now, we're attaching the epic life to that intention that you set, right? Because I want you to ground in something, and I want you to have that visual and that feeling. The next step is understanding that spirituality is your superpower. That's right. The number one reason why women go into freak out about, I don't think I have what it takes and who am I to do this, is anytime we've developed the mentality that it's about us and us alone. When I forget that there is a power in me but not of me, and I think Gina has to handle everything, that's when I go into fear. That's when I go into misery or depression or overwhelm or resentment or shutdown. Not when I remember that, oh, life does get to be easy. And when I say easy, I mean simple. Of course, there's going to be challenges in life. A queen does not have a princess mentality thinking that life is just perfect. But what becomes so much easier is when we remember that we are connected to the divine. And if we're connected to the divine, we don't have to figure out everything, and we certainly don't have to do everything. Can I get an amen on that one? Like, ladies, we have taken way too much burden, way too much pressure on our shoulders, thinking that we've got to do it all and figure it all out, and have personalities that we don't, and have talents and skill sets that don't even interest us. Who you are, exactly the way you are, she's enough. She is enough. She is enough to get clear on who her ideal client is and what that package is. She is enough to attract that person. She is worthy of consistent 10K months and beyond, and way beyond. I'm going to tell you, I'm going to get into this later on our day when we dive deep into money, but I am living my life to help women stop settling for baby amounts of money. It's so annoying to me to watch the men who don't have, and I love men, but I'm just like, men don't have the same insecurities women do. Men are like, yeah, sure, I deserve that, and I can make that amount of money, and my company can do that. And we're like, do you think it's okay if I charge $100 for this life-changing and life-saving work we're going to do with these people over like hours of time? Time to raise our standards, and that includes with money, but we're going to get to that in a later date. What will help you relax is to remember that there is a spirit in you, but not of you, that flows through you. And your job is to be the faucet. Spirit is the water. Spirit gives you the words. Spirit gives you the clarity. Spirit gives you the direction. Spirit gives you the divine assignment. And that you can become rest assured, and that you get to relax in, because at some level, your soul knows what's true. Your soul isn't overthinking and spinning like, what is that enough? And am I putting enough in a package? It's not the way the soul works. The soul is like, you know what? This is who I am. And you start to create different distinctions. I remember when I first started my career, and I would like watch all these other people teaching their courses, and I was like, oh gosh, that must mean I have to have a course that does this, and a module that does that, and a bullet point this, and a checklist that. And when I would be at my live events, I would think like, well, this is what people want. They want the flip chart and the markers and the PowerPoints. You have not lived through a moment of hell until you have seen me struggle and try to teach on stage from a PowerPoint. I remember one time being in Dubai. I was like, all right, I finally got over the PowerPoints, but then I had this like flip chart, and I was like, I was going to deliver my 5-step process or whatever it was. And then finally, like right there on stage, I just ripped up the paper and I said, you know what? I'm not a teacher. I'm a transformer. And that's who I'm going to be. And I fully gave myself permission to just be me. My teaching comes through stories. My teaching comes through a transmission, but it doesn't come through a 5-step process. And I finally gave myself permission to be that. So whether you're a teacher or a transformer or a coach or a graphic designer or an interior designer or a yoga, like you give yourself permission to be you. And when you're connected to spirit, you just get like, it's so easy. Like you were already created you. And this is the power. And this is the magic that I want you to cling on to, because this foundational mindset, it comes from, you just know, right? When you're watching a woman online, on Instagram, when we were seeing on stage, like doing a thing, you're just like, that woman gives 0 Fs. She's just given herself permission to be her. And you know what? It's working and she's getting paid to be her. Don't we all want some of that? Don't we all want a whole lot of that? Yes, woot, woot. That's what we're going for. You don't, I mean, look at further education, further learning, reading another book. Yes, I do those things every day because I love to learn and absorb, not because I'm trying to fill a hole that I'm not enough. It comes from an entirely different place. All right. So first step, live your epic life. Second step, spirituality is your superpower. I want you to start using prayer as a first resort rather than a last resort. And when you don't know, then you pray and you say, dear God, dear spirit, dear universe, dear higher power, please show me the way. Please help me. Please make it clear. Please have me be at peace. Please let my life be used. It is that simple. The teachings of the world have taught us that it needs to be hard, that life is hard, that it's a struggle, that making money is hard and getting clients is hard and funnels are hard and all this dreary stuff. That is not the epic life. The epic life is like, you know, Freddie Mercury kind of outrageous, and let's have fun and let's, yes, be masterful in our art. But let's remember that the epic life comes from being divinely guided and connected with spirituality as your superpower. Step number 3. And who said I couldn't get down a 5-step process, or at least we're down to 3 steps here with me. Get great at being feminine. So a queen is the masterful blend of femininity and masculinity. Within male and female, there are masculine and feminine energies, and I love them both. The problem, the destruction of modern day women, is that the Western world not only reveres the masculine to a fault, it is literally addicted to it. And it has programmed us beautiful, feminine, fiery, like outlandish creatures. And it has stuck us in this practical, probable, predictable way of living. And if we are not living that way, then somehow we have done something fundamentally wrong. So let me share with you the difference between masculine and feminine. The feminine, see how much I want to go to the feminine, but it's important to know the masculine because the masculine has its purpose. The masculine, all things logical, linear, practical, predictable, concrete. Masculine is about I. It is about, I'll believe it when I see it. It's about the provider, the protector energy. Ultimately, masculinity is about giving. People think that women of small children are like in their feminine. Not even a little bit. Who's a mother here? Let me see it in the comments. You mothers of small children, you know, you are constantly in your masculine energy. You're constantly providing. You're constantly protecting your children. You're constantly being logical, linear, and thinking out the routine and the schedule and like making sure that it's all getting done, right? Because it's the very nature of that is giving. There's such a generosity in that. We'll get to the topic about the empowered masculine in a moment, but it's ultimately the purpose of the masculine is to be in service to the feminine. It's about giving. So what is feminine? Glad you asked. The feminine is the playful, the passionate, the creative, the spiritual, the invisible, the circular, the ability to see things not as they are, but as they could be. That's why you have these desires in your heart. It is all about the we, it's about the collective and taking care of the community. Ultimately, femininity is about receiving. Now, that would work out really well for us women if we were really connected to our primal nature. However, modern day women, we have gotten so programmed and be logical, linear, like what it is we are supposed to be good, to be valued, to be nice, to be loved, to be accepted. We've gotten to a place where we can't even receive a compliment, let alone a $10,000 month, let alone clarity on who our ideal client is, let alone support in our business or at home. Like, to the degree, and listen up, to the degree that anything is not working at the level that you desire it at in your life, you have, like most women, including me, an injured feminine instinct in that area. When I had trouble receiving a compliment, people like, oh, Gina, love your blouse. Like, oh, this old thing, like, got it on sale somewhere, right? Rather than thanks. It brings out my animal instincts. Or when we're going to leave this part out as well, because there's not enough days in this challenge for this. When I was dating the local loser rock stars of Detroit and could not figure out my dating life, I couldn't receive love, let alone being adored by a man, let alone being actually taken out for dinner. I was paying for all of them. I was giving because I was in my masculine. Then when I started my career, I was terrified to get visible online because I couldn't handle receiving that level of visibility. And then I couldn't handle receiving money for my services. I would just rather give it, the masculine, I'd rather give it away for free. Anybody relating here? Is this making sense? If you're why are you feeling squeamish about receiving support? I remember when I hired my first VA, I felt bad asking her to do things in the business, it was some sort of favor I was asking her for. I couldn't even receive that level of support. So I want you to know that anywhere on your journey that you are having a challenge or a feeling of awkwardness or uncomfortableness, or just whatever the block is about receiving, I got you. It's totally, sadly, but it's totally normal for modern day women. And together, and over the course of this week, you're going to see we're going to get you so great at receiving that you're going to get amazing results at receiving your clients and selling those packages and money and all of it. But this is where it comes from. You got to get great at the feminine. So I want a commitment from you. You're going to start asking yourself this question. This is going to help you get really great at being feminine. How good am I willing to let life get? That's right. I want you to start just asking yourself that. How good am I willing to let life get? Meaning how quickly will I let the clarity come? How much will I allow myself to go for progress over perfection? And how much will I let myself let that be enough and not overspin and not over worry and overthink or live in the past or live in the future? How good am I willing to let life get? This will start to open up your receiving receptacles. Okay. Last step for today. Step 4. This one, this is when we get really real. Are you available for that? Have we kind of opened up things enough to know that we're all in this together? That I'm sure you've been seeing. I can't wait to go and read all these comments, but really getting, nobody came out of the box perfect. One of my best friends, she's a therapist. She's like, Gina, there's no functional adults out there. We're all overcoming our stuff. And I think that you're going to see and get it so much more after this 4th step that I'm going to share with you today. I'm going to start by telling a story. And some of you may know this story. If you do, I want you to listen to it like it's the first time you're listening to it. For others of you, it is your first time, listen up, because it's going to it's going to really be a guide to getting you to your greatness. So the story that I'm about to tell you, it is a true story. And we are going back to ancient Persia. That's right. Ancient Persia, there was a king, his name was King Xerxes, and he was known for loving a party. He loved to be wined and dined, and he threw this party. First, it lasted for 6 months, and then at the end of 6 months, he had these 6 days when all of the nobles and officials were invited, and the women were in one room and the men were in another room. And the scriptures say that when the king was high on spirits, he asked his queen, Vashti, to come in wearing her royal crown. And she refused. And the king was furious. He was so embarrassed in front of the other men. How dare Queen Vashti, not listen to my command? What should be done with her? Well, all of the men were totally freaked out. And you want to know why? Because their wives were in there with Vashti watching her say no to the king. And if the queen could say no to the king, what would their wives do with them? Well, there must be punishment for this Queen Vashti. And they all huddled together and they made sure that she was excommunicated. And what we learn right at the beginning of this story is that there has always been a consequence for a woman to let her yes be yes and her no be no. But one thing I'm pretty sure of, Vashti was not naive. She knew what the consequence was going to be. And the reason that they excommunicated people at that time was because that women would die. If you get kicked out of the tribe, you'd freeze to death, be eaten by a wild animal, starve to death. You're not going to be taken care of. And that is why literally in ourselves, we are so terrified of not being accepted by the group think. Think about it within yourself. Anytime you think about putting something out online and you're like, oh my God, what are other people going to say? It's literally in ourselves. We were killed for it. We were killed for speaking our truth. However, we're going to take that journey a lot further than ancient times. Vashti was excommunicated from the kingdom, and the king was without a queen. So, hold on Persia. We're going to go across the world over to Israel at this same time. There was a war going on in Israel, and the historians say that there was a young girl named Esther, and her parents were both killed in the war, so she was orphaned. And what you're about to see through the rest of this story, I imagine, is your story. You're going to see your story through the story of Esther's. I know every bit of my life I have been able to see through this woman's journey, and it has brought me home to my power, home to my true self, and that's what I want for you as well. So we see that Esther's story starts by her being orphaned. Okay. Now, for those of you who have literally been orphaned, you know what that is like, to be given up for adoption, to have that actual experience. For many others of you, you might not know what that literally is, but I know that you know what it is emotionally. I know that you know what it is symbolically. And when we start out with our story, understanding that the story begins being emotionally orphaned, what does that mean? Being without mother or father. Symbolically, the mother is to be there to love unconditionally, to nurture, to teach the ways of the wild feminine, to teach intuition and instinct and proper boundaries. We know that symbolically and emotionally and metaphorically, the father is to be there to provide and protect and to teach one how to make money and how to be cared for and to be given to. To the degree that you somewhere along, whether it happened when you were really young or further along down your path, that you have been without mother or father or both emotionally, you can start to tap into Esther's story. So I want you to just think for a moment. And I know that this is really deep, and I know this takes such bravery and such courage. And I promise you, if you do this with me, you will get the result. And so I started to see in ways that though my mother and father were both so well-meaning and they did their best in so many ways, that they orphaned me emotionally, symbolically, and there were so many ways in which I had to figure it out for myself. And so I want you to just, and you can type in the comments if you feel comfortable, like, What's a way in which your mother orphaned you? You can write it down in your notes. And then the same with your father. What is a way in which you have been orphaned? And we're going to keep going. I want you to hold that, and I'm going to show you how to connect these pieces. Trust. The next thing that happens to Esther is the Jews, when they lost the war, they were sent out of Israel, and they were sent to Persia, where they were treated like second-class citizens. Esther had one living cousin at the time. His name was Mordecai. Mordecai took Esther in. So first we see this girl, she's orphaned. Then she's exiled. And I want you to see the place in your own life where you next were exiled. Maybe you were kicked out of the club. Maybe your family disowned you for showing up in a certain way or not behaving the way they wanted you to. Maybe it was a religious group that exiled you, a social group, academic group. Maybe you were fired from a job, divorced out of the blue. Like in some way, in what way were you kicked out of your homeland? I know that when it happened for me, it was so shocking. And I felt like I was chopped off at the knees. I felt that my roots were gone. It was so ungrounding. It was everything that I ever knew. For me, it happened with family, and it happened with jobs. And like, I can see so many different places in my life where social groups also, where I was exiled, where I was the one that I didn't raise my hand and say I wanted to leave. I didn't raise my hand and say I no longer wanted to be loved and accepted. It was like, it's our way or the highway. You follow our rules. And when my soul was realizing it had to choose between living my truth or being accepted by this group of people, I was exiled. Same with Esther, same with you. So take a look and see, where in your life have you been exiled? And I just want you can write it in the comments, or you can write it in the chat, or in your notes. But I want you to understand these pieces that you have been holding your whole life. After being exiled, Esther gets to Persia, where she finds her only living relative named Mordecai. She goes and she lives with him. Right at that time, the king kind of wakes up from his oblivion, and he's like, you know what? I miss having a queen. Guys, I want you to go round up all the young maidens of the land, throw them into the palace harem, where there will be prepared for a year with beauty treatments and special foods before they will be then presented to me. So Esther again is taken out of her comfort zone, put into this palace harem, where the palace eunuch, who in my opinion is the first ever life coach, takes notice of her, because they say that she was pleasing in form and feature. And I don't know about you, but if I was just orphaned, exiled, and taken out of my comfort zone, I don't think I would have shown up in the palace harem. Oh, by the way, being a Jewish orphan girl, saying like, there's no way I'm going to be the next queen of Persia. This is wrong. This is unfair. This is like, it's never going to happen for me. Right? How many times do we get taken out of our comfort zone and we're like, no client is ever going to buy. I'm never going to make the money. No one's ever going to sign up for my stuff. We just take ourselves out of the game, but not Esther. Esther, pleasing in form and feature, and her disposition is what they also talked about, got notice of the palace eunuch, and he put her in the best spot of the harem. He also told her, when it was her time to go to the king, exactly what to wear, exactly what to bring, and exactly what not to. She was very coachable. She only brought what Haggai recommended to her. And Mordecai had told her, keep your identity a secret. Keep your identity a secret. And we see that Esther's got these great boundaries, because so oftentimes, don't we just take ourselves out of the game? Like, we walk in the room like, this might be a stupid question, this is probably going to be a no, or like, I'm sorry to impose. Like, we just take ourselves out of the game, not Esther. She followed Mordecai's advice, and it was her turn to go to the king. King has no idea who she is and ends up choosing Esther to be the next queen of Persia, the most unlikely candidate. Like, don't you feel like the most unlikely candidate to do what you're doing? I certainly know that I am. that I've never taken a business class, $75,000 in debt when I started, was used to making $24,000 a year, and I was going to teach people how to create their online empire or anything having to do with money. I was that ordinary orphan girl, but there was a bigger calling on my life. I was the most unlikely candidate, but God had a plan. And just like Esther and just like me, the same goes for you. You have been chosen to be the queen of your life. You have been chosen to be queen. So right when Esther, like we think that, modern day story would say, well, she's queen, da-da, there's the end. That's not the way spirituality goes. Right when Esther becomes queen, the king's best friend, Haman, goes to him and says, I'd like to issue a law to kill, destroy, and annihilate all the Jews of the land. The king says yes, having no idea that Esther's a Jew. As soon as word spreads that that's actually what's going to be happening, Mordecai gets word to Esther, and he says, Esther, you got to go to the king. You got to save yourself, and you got to save your people. You know what she does? Oh, no, not me. No. It's not safe to do that. It's against palace protocol. She's coming up with all these excuses. Like, I haven't been summoned. The king didn't ask me to go see him. I have to be summoned first before I can go. And Mordecai says to her, Esther, for such a time as this, you have been called into royalty to save your people. And I want to say to you, Queen, for such a time as this, you too have been called into royalty to save your people at this time on the planet. Grandiose as it may sound, it is true. We are all that unlikely orphan girl who's been exiled and taken out of our comfort zone to be placed in the position of queen, and that to understand that only from the position of queen can we fulfill our calling. And Esther takes all of this in and she's like, okay. And she accepts her divine assignment. She says, I will go to the king, and if I perish, I perish. And that's what all of us are saying today. We're going to show up. We're going to be visible. We're going to get clear on our packages. We're going to get clear on who our people are. Even if we think it's going to kill us, which it's not, like it could have for Esther, we're going to do it anyways. And the first thing Esther does, she doesn't go marching in her masculine and to go see the king. She goes into spiritual principles. She goes into the feminine. She goes into her chambers and gathers her maids around her, and they pray and they fast for 3 days. What would happen if we got a mastermind partner and surrounded ourselves with that person for 3 days, really looking into what is this divine assignment and how can it happen, and opening ourselves up to the divine and unlimited potential about what are the resources that we don't even know or are conscious to existing that could come into place to help us fulfill our calling and our destiny? What if we did that for 3 days, meditated on that for 3 days, journaled on that for 3 days, asked someone to vox us for 3 days so that we could be supported for our own for such a time as this moment? The world would be changed. So Esther comes out of her 3 days, and the first thing she does is she puts on her royal robes. That's right. And she goes and she stands before the king. And the king had a sword to his left and a scepter to his right, and he could have killed her in that moment, but instead he extends the golden scepter, and he says to Esther, Esther, what is it? Even up to half my kingdom, it will be given to you. I don't know about you, but I would have been like, thanks, dude, here's what I need. Can you hand it over? Not Esther. Esther is in the play and the mystery of the feminine. She knows that she's got a divine assignment, but she knows she doesn't have to rush it. And she says, come to a banquet I've prepared for you. Oh, and bring your best friend Haman. And so the king and Haman are like, doo-doo-doo. Now remember the beginning of the story when the king likes to be wined and dined? Ladies, you got to know your man. So Esther has this banquet, she's prepared, and the king comes and he's so curious, like he's eating out of the palm of her hand. He's like, Esther, what is it? Even half my kingdom, it'll be given to you. And she's like, come tomorrow to another banquet. I'll tell you then. She's keeping the secret alive. She's keeping the allure, the mystery, the playfulness alive of the feminine. So the same thing happens the next day. The king and Haman come back, and Esther says, I will tell you, I am a Jew. She reveals and exposes exactly who she is. I am a Jew, and there's been a law issued to kill me and my people, and I'm asking you to save me. There's no quivering. There's no like, I hope you don't mind it. I'm sorry to bother you. Direct, queenly communication. And the king says, who would issue such a law? And she confronts something else women are so afraid to do these days. She says, your best friend Haman. Well, the king goes and immediately has Haman hung and grants Esther her wish. And in my book, Esther becomes the heroine of all time. So, do you see yourself in Esther's story? Do you get that it's not about you being any different than who you are? It's not about you coming from anywhere else than you've come from. It's not about you being born into a different family. It's not about you having a perfect path. All of that is the thinking of the princess. God is bigger than all of it. Source, spirit, and universe is bigger than all of it. Everything that has gone on and happened in your life can, will, and must be used for such a time as this. For such a time as this. You too have your calling, and you too have your people. And I want you to get, there are no extra humans. We've been taught, oh, because so-and-so did this, they're more special, or they're more powerful, or they're more deserving. This is not spiritual eyes. It is time for women like us to claim our birthright, to claim our truth, to claim the power that is in us but not of us, which is the vast abundance of the universe. Your clients exist, your money exists, your dream home exists, your A-player team members exist. Everything you desire to know, the solution is there. Your brand exists. It's now up to you to get really great at receiving. I want you to receive the totality of you. I want you to receive the awesomeness of you. And I want you to receive the orphan in you, the exile in you, the you who didn't realize that she was born to be a queen, and that only from the position of queen do you get to fulfill your calling. That's how this works. Self-permission will help, but I'm here to tell you, permission's already been granted. Spiritual permission has already been done. It's already been done. So yes, you have free will. And the more conscious you become to being open to receiving and not being the one to block, say you can't, that you're not good enough. Like, can't you just like start to feel like the vibe drop? We don't want that. All of that's the lie. All of that is the untruth. I want you to remember the queen in you. I want you to feel who she is. I want you to say yes to her. And most importantly, I need you to say yes to her calling. The world needs you. What you are meant to do, it's not for me. It's not for Carrie. It's not for anyone else in this amazing group. It's for you, and it's for you alone. And I want you to value the queen within you. I want you to say, yes, I got this. Even through the orphaning, even through the exile, especially. Because I got to tell you something. If my parents didn't orphan and exile me, if my extended family didn't exile me, I would never be the woman I am today. If all of those toxic, abusive, sociopathic, narcissistic bosses didn't fire me, didn't show me that if I wasn't willing to be there for myself, that I would get abused, that I would get trampled on, I wouldn't have the strength that I have today. I wouldn't have the spiritual connection that I do today. So this entire heroine's journey, everything that you've been through, it's actually what makes you more special. I didn't want to talk about all this at the beginning of my career. I didn't share this because I thought it was ugly. I thought it would make people not like me as much. I was scared if I went public, like my family would find out, it would hurt their feelings. And the exact opposite is true. So many, not everybody, but so many of the women who I've been blessed and honored to be able to support, why I've created the packages I have, it's because I had to go through the process of healing my man story, money story, and mother story, and a bunch more. And then I was able to be a light in someone else's life too. So I want you to know that the brokenness in you, the Bible says, and the weak will become strong. That means the weakest area in your life is meant to become the strongest. The weakest areas of my life were self-esteem, my lack of ability to stomach sales. I couldn't even get good at it because I couldn't even stomach it. Make money, receive money, all of it, love life, all of it. Every single one has become the strongest areas in my life. And that's what I'm here to support you in. And I don't want you to think that the perfect parts of you are the strongest parts. It's the weakest parts that are about to become the strongest. It's the areas that you have been orphaned and exiled is very likely what's going to help you get clarity on who your ideal clients and what those packages are. So if you have the bravery to take just a couple more minutes of this journey with me, I'd like to, how's this going so far? Are we doing okay? I'm gonna go back and read all the comments. I got an amen from Natasha, so I think I'm probably all right here. So I'm really asking for your trust with this, and I'm asking for your bravery with your first homework assignment. I want you to identify, hold on, let me just check in here. Make sure I'm getting the divine assignment to share with you. I want you to identify one way in which you were orphaned and one way in which you were exiled. And this doesn't need to be long. A short paragraph for each is your homework assignment. And I'll repeat that. I want you to identify one way in which you were orphaned and any awareness you have around that. So let me give you an example. When I first met my husband, when I first met Glenn, I'm going to spare you the details, but suffice it to say, it was not popular news with my family. And for many reasons I'm not going to get into here, I basically had the choice between being with my soulmate and the man of my dreams, or staying connected, accepted, and loved by my family. It was my own little Romeo and Juliet situation, but it didn't feel very romantic at the time. And no woman should have to choose between having a life or having her family. And I did. And that was one way in which I was orphaned. Maybe actually that's more, that's also an exile of sorts. I will say that's what was coming up for me of when I was orphaned. And then the exile it was one thing for my immediate family to do that to me, with me, whatever. The exile that I was talking about, where I was chopped off at the knees, and I gotta tell you, I alluded to this story in my book, but I didn't even share this much of the details. So I can tell the space that you all are holding for me. This is opening up. I've actually never talked about it publicly before. Every year, so I come from a big Italian family, and every year my favorite holiday was Thanksgiving, and we would go to this big family Thanksgiving. And every year, I was an adult at this time, I was in my early 30s, I guess. And I didn't get the email, it hadn't come, and I was like, oh, they must be busy of course, it's not like you need an invitation, I'm family. but like they'd always send an email out about like what was going on. I didn't get the email. And then I asked another family member and they said, Gina, you're not invited anymore. And I remember where I was standing. I was actually going to cooking school at the time, and I was in my chef's uniform, and I'd stepped outside of the kitchen, and I've just felt severed at the knees. And I was like, how do you, like, I thought family is supposed to be unconditionally loving. What do you mean I'm not like exiled? So if I were to do the homework assignment, that would be my example of an experience of being orphaned and exiled. And I want you to find your own. I want you to feel safe in it. And I also want you to feel loved in it. And I want you to know that the days that we've got coming, you might feel really opened up right now, and that's really normal. It might feel awkward even. You might be having a really emotional experience. All of this is normal. There's a line in the universe that says we got to come apart so we can come back together again. And so I do want to open you up to your greatness. I don't want you holding on to secrets that are shame-based. I did that for too long, and it held me back, and it kept me invisible, and I became the internet's best kept secret. And I am taking a stand that you don't have any experience of that any longer if you've been in it. And the days to come, we're gonna build on this strength, and we're gonna put everything back together. It's okay to be opened up. I want you to be opened up, because opening up to these dark places that we think we have to hide, that's what's keeping women back. That's what's holding us back. We're never going to get to that renaissance on the other side of this if women continue to be told that things that were done to them that they should feel shame for. There's nothing that I should feel shame for, and I'm not pointing fingers, but people that behave in that way, they should feel the shame, not me. But I carried that shame for way too long. And anything that's been done to you, I don't want you to hold that shame either. You are a queen. You are a child of God. You are a participant in this universe. For such a time as this, you have been called. And you got to remember, Esther had all these pieces in her that got her to her queenhood. And we're starting at the beginning of the journey with you. So that's the assignment for today. Just an acknowledgement of where you're orphaned and exiled. And you acknowledging this part of yourself and loving this part of yourself right now. You got confidence, clarity, and everything powerful coming your way. All right. Any other thoughts, comments, or questions before we close today? It's been my great joy and honor to be here with you. I can't wait to go and read your comments. If you want to write any questions or any takeaways that you've got so far, I'd love Carrie to come back on.
And just as you said that, I popped my camera back on. That was so amazing listening to you. And was just sat here rocking away with her, just listening. The sun is shining, we were sat back here. But yeah, it's so powerful. Those stories were incredible. And I took a screenshot. Jolene wrote, "The universe has been screaming at me for years. This is my time." And I took a screenshot of that because I so remember feeling that same way. I remember feeling it sent me into a spiral, because I think the more you ignore that calling, and I think the more you ignore that little voice inside, and you're ignoring your intuition, your heart, whatever you want to call it, like the more I think things happen. Like it's almost like the universe keeps doing things to you to be like, bloody listen, like you need to wake up, you need to listen, you need to do this. Like for me, it was like also I ended up with like such bad heart palpitations. It was just physically coming out in me because I wasn't listening. And yeah, Jolene, I completely just resonate with you. And how many of you here feel like the universe, or whatever you want to call it, is screaming at you, and you're getting all these signs and these ideas, and it's like they're knocking at you, and you just keep ignoring it. And I just feel like, yeah, it's our time, all of us, it's our time to step up and to actually embrace what we want and our desires and who we want to be and the life we want to live and the things we want to achieve, and we have to go for it. And like, even I feel like, even though I feel like over the past nearly 10 years I've turned my life around and created so much more success and have followed my desires, I feel like there's so much more I can do. There's so much more work I can do with myself. And like Gina and I were on a call last week, and Gina, you were talking a lot about receiving, and it really stopped me and made me think about, like, you obviously mentioned it today, about the fact that so often we just can't receive, like whether it's like receiving a compliment, whether it's receiving money, whether it's, you know, someone doing something for us. And you know, actually you just gave the example before of like when you've got like a virtual assistant working for you and you feel like asking them to do something for you as a favor. I mean, half the time I still feel like that, and it just makes me feel like, you know, so many of us I know have these kind of little blocks, and I'm excited for the rest of this weekend to work on this. And like you said, for us to get to a place where we can receive what we want and we can stand in our, you know, our own power and actually go forward with the desires and that those little, you know, divine inspiration and little nuggets that are coming up for us, and just actually follow it. And yeah, life changes when we do that. So I'm excited, and it was so inspiring listening to you.
Oh, I'm so glad, Carrie. And thank you for that. And, you know, just looking at you, like everyone look at Carrie right now. She's got is she 3 weeks, 2 weeks old? Like, how old is Marley?
She'll be 4 weeks tomorrow. She's crazy. It's gone so fast.
It has. I mean, you know, look at, she's got a 4-week-old in her arms. She's got a toddler probably running around the house somewhere, and a husband who's like, get off your Facebook Live. And yet, like, this is the era of what, like, Carrie's not sitting here saying, I can't have this super successful career. I can't have another baby. I can't have love in my life. I can't have an amazing team. Like women, we get to be the ones to stop making the excuses. Like, do you understand? Carrie was like, I think she's going to give birth in 2 weeks when we started talking about this right here. And it's like, she just said yes, like, and we said yes. So I want you to be saying yes to all of what's about to come for you and all of your big desires and those nudges you've been getting as well, because life works so much better when the empowered feminine says yes.
I just so agree. Just to add to that, like, so often we have these false beliefs and these like almost lies we tell ourselves about what we think is possible and what we think we can do. And, you know, I think if you have an inspiration or an inspired idea or an inspired thought or a feeling to do something, like, we shouldn't make up reasons for why we can't do it. And like with this challenge, you know, exactly, it's like I was pregnant and knew I was having a baby, but I was like, I feel excited about doing this. And like, me and her, we're hanging out here, we're having a great time, and like, we can do it. But it's just, we have to adapt the way we think and what we believe in so that we can actually move forward with the things we want to do and living the life we want to live. And it's all like those little decisions that we make build up and create the life that we live. And, you know, we have to stop blocking ourselves. We have to stop turning down these little opportunities that arise or these inspired ideas. We have to start saying, I'm going to go for it. Like, I'm going to find a way for this to feel good, you know, because, for example, if it hadn't felt good and I didn't feel good about doing this with a baby and that's not what I wanted, I wouldn't have said yes. But I think it is like following what feels good, and we all have to do it more.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right. And with that, ladies, you get to go do your homework assignment. I can't wait to jump into the chat to go read all of your comments. If you feel like anchoring today in these comments with what your big takeaway was from today, I know that will really, it does a lot for Carrie and I, so we can really track you and see you. That's what's so important to us, is that we know that there's a lot of people in this challenge, but that doesn't matter to us. What matters is that we see you. And this is a really symbolic place for you to practice being seen in the world. So make sure we know who you are. And you'll be able to do that by leaving, like, what was your big takeaway from today? And you can leave that in this comment thread. And definitely do your homework assignment, because tomorrow is when we start giving away prizes. And definitely be here live tomorrow. Oh, by the way, to get your prize, you have to be on live. So when we announce the prizes at the end of tomorrow for whoever's won the raffle for doing the homework assignment from today, you have to be live. So you want to make sure that you're going to be here live. You won't regret it.
Also, we've got the email going out in a sorry, this dog's going barking outside. We've got the email going out in about an hour or so, which has got the homework info and the replay, so keep a lookout for that as well. That might be helpful.
Yes, yes, yes. And to make sure that you are fully supported in this entire process, you have some incredible team leaders who are here tracking you, noticing your comments, commenting on your comments, really, really seeing you with a super high touch element. So can we just give a woot woot to all of these incredible team leaders who have been supporting you during the pre-party time? We've got Abigail, we got Chelsea, we got Christy, we got Courtney, we got Kate, Lucy, and Shelly. I mean, these women, they've been like popping in that Facebook group early morning, late at night, all through the day, really making sure that all of you are feeling cared for and that you're getting your questions answered. And just want you to know, like, you matter and you count, and yes, you're seen, and no, you're not just a number. And these incredible team leaders, they're just putting so much love and attention and expertise into this. So make sure you take advantage and are in connection with them as well. And with that, Carrie, anything else from you?
No, that is it. I'm just excited for tomorrow. I'm excited to see you all here again. So yeah, same time tomorrow. We'll be here.
Excellent, excellent. So go check out that email. It'll have all the recap from today. You'll have the replay link, a reminder about the homework, where to submit it, and all the details for tomorrow as well. Thanks so much for being here, Queens. Lots of love. Bye-bye.